A people's princess, with youth, beauty, and kindness on her side, but the ultimate forces of darkness plotting against her on the other. Was the passing away of Princess Diana in the small hours of August the 31st, 1997, a tragic accident or a deliberate act of evil? In the next 15 minutes or so, you will be crying, you will be seething, but most of all, you will be in the picture. And I have a shocking revelation at the end that even I find hard to believe. Welcome to Dot 19, Princess Diana, Accident or Moida. In August 1997, Princess Diana, the most lovable member of the British royal family by far, was tragically killed in a car accident in Paris. It was common knowledge that Lady Di, as she was often referred to as, was the most talked about and the most photographed woman on earth. Seldom a day went by without a sleazy maximum zoom lens photograph of her hit the headlines. The intense scrutiny of her life was a newspaper editor's dream, and the public were drip fed her life day by day, no matter how private. This only intensified when her marriage to the then Prince of Wales, who's now the King of England, ended in an ugly divorce. Both factors would have bearing on her final demise, a demise that shook Paris and shocked the entire world. The vibration of that day still affects some people today, and we're going to find out how and why a car accident in a tunnel on a central Parisian road would end in such controversy. Although the evidence tells another story, the end verdict delivered by two independent inquiries was that of an accident caused solely by the driver losing control of the vehicle at high speed whilst intoxicated by alcohol and under the effects of prescription drugs. Yet his colleagues say he was sober as a judge that night, and with the paparazzi being a contributing factor. But when you dig deeper, as they should have, a different story emerges, one of deceit, hidden evidence, lost witnesses, and tampered statements, and a favourite word of the corrupt, coincidence. Let's go back to that fateful night and piece together briefly what actually did happen. Diana, now a beautiful 36-year-old single lady, was enjoying time with her new boyfriend Dodi Fayed at the Ritz Hotel in the heart of Paris, after holidaying together with Dodi and his family aboard his private yacht in the Italian Riviera. They chose Paris en route to London. Plus, Dodi's father, Mohammed Fayed, the billionaire owner of Harrods, owned the Ritz Hotel. Word had got around and the paparazzi started to gather in numbers outside the hotel. Diana and Dodi decided quickly that it would be best for privacy to move on to Dodi's father's apartment about a mile and a half across Paris. Plus, it is believed that Dodi wanted to go to the apartment because he had planned to propose to her that night. It was also decided that the deputy head of security at the Ritz Hotel, Henri Paul, would drive them in a black hired Mercedes W140, a fast armoured car, to the apartment in order to avoid the massive paparazzi. It was only a short distance from the hotel, just off the Champs-Elysees. A decoy vehicle was used to divert the photographers and left from the front of the hotel. It worked in part, but some had gambled and had waited at the rear, where, at around 20 past midnight, Princess Diana, Henri Paul the driver, Dodi, and his personal bodyguard Trevor Rees-Jones left the hotel at the rear. I'm going to stop it there because there is another thing that could have massive significance on the story. I mentioned earlier that Princess Di had not long been through an ugly divorce. I lied somewhat. because it wasn't just an ugly divorce, it was an ugly marriage. A couple of years previous, in 1995, Diana had done an interview with the BBC journalist Martin Bashir, of which that was to be exposed as a scandal on its own. She had revealed some unseemly truths about her marriage to Charles, Prince of Wales. In Charles's own words, she had embarrassed and deliberately humiliated him in front of the nation. She had said things like, "There were three of us in this marriage, so it was a bit crowded."
Well, there were three of us in this marriage, so it was a bit crowded.
And she also said certain people's agendas changed overnight, and now she was a liability and a problem. Added to this, another thing she had said in a letter to a friend was, "He is going to kill me in a car accident, a head injury or something." Something was definitely scaring her. I know she had just left the monarch mafia, a family not shy of controversy, and a family with the power to basically do anything or anyone. But nonetheless, she was getting increasingly scared. One major happening that folk don't mention when commenting on her accident is during her role as Princess of Wales, Princess Diana had a protection officer by the name of Barry Manakee. She was close to him, not in a sexual way, but she would confide in him frequently. Allegedly, one day a jealous Prince Charles overheard one of their conversations. He didn't like what he heard and immediately contacted Manakee's superiors and had him transferred away from Diana's protection team. Coincidentally, a short time afterwards, Manakee was killed in a motorcycle accident. Accident or moida? So let's get back to that night in Paris. Oh, no, wait a minute. One more thing. Charles wanted to marry Camilla Parker Bowles. The woman he was seeing was married to Diana, the third person in the marriage. And he wanted her to be queen when he eventually took to the throne. Just thought I'd better chuck that in. Okay, back to the night in Paris. So all four, Diana, Dodie, his bodyguard, Trevor Rees-Jones, and the driver Henri Paul, left the rear of the Ritz Hotel en route to the apartment. Mysteriously, Henri Paul took a different route, a longer route, along the embankment of the river. They were being pursued by the paparazzi, but most of the paparazzi were on scooters or motorbikes and not cars. You would have thought it would have been quite easy for a professional driver like Henri Paul to outrun them. Several witnesses told how the Mercedes entered the Pont d'Arme underpass at approximately 60 to 65 mile an hour, not excess for a professional driver by any means, and was passed by a motorcycle with two passengers going at some speed. Also, a small Fiat Uno was entering the underpass at the same time. It is said that the Mercedes clipped the Uno and swerved to the left. The driver lost control and hit the 13th pillar into the tunnel. Allegedly, Dodie and the driver Henri Paul died instantly. Dodie's bodyguard Trevor Rees-Jones was severely injured in the front seat, and Princess Diana was injured in the back seat. By now, several paparazzi photographers had caught up, and although not witnessing the crash nor caring about its severity, started to take photographs of them. Goes to prove how sick these mainstream media cockroaches are. Money over morals yet again. Many people came to help, but as my videos like to be brief, I'm not going to go into the gruesome details of what immediately followed. But in the aftermath, too many things don't add up, as usual. There are several accusations of what happened that night. Was it down to the paparazzi's constant harassment and pursuance of Diana? Was it down to the fact that the driver Henri Paul was drunk behind the wheel and just couldn't handle the pressure of the pursuit? Or was it something else? But it's only my opinion, remember. Having read most of the witness statements, having heard the French and British inquiries and the conclusions, having used my noggin, unlike the French Brigade Criminelle or the British intelligence, both of whom seem like they're hiding things. Oh, really? Here's a few pointers, right? Both the Fiat Uno and the speeding motorcycle that entered the tunnel at the same time as Diana's car never stopped, either to help nor to take photos. In fact, the Fiat Uno, of which the French police first said never existed, was found burnt out over 100 miles away after a famous paparazzi, James Andonson, had set fire to himself and the car. Well, did that change your minds, French police people? The paparazzi feeding frenzy that took place at the scene was jumped on by the police, and they were all arrested. All had their films confiscated and were all assaulted without interrogation. Kind of a warning, let's say. Why did Henri Paul take the longer, more complicated route? Was he told to? Was it planned? If it was, who told him? Why did it take 1 hour 45 minutes to get Diana to a hospital? And why not the nearest hospital? They say because of the severity of her injuries, but they didn't know that at the time. Why does the only survivor, Trevor Rees-Jones, have amnesia of the event when he remembers all the rest of it that night? And why has he stated that he is scared for his life? What's there to be scared of if you're telling nothing or hiding nothing? Why did Diana write a letter to her friend mentioning a car crash and her fear of assassination? Why was Diana's body embalmed, and embalmed quickly, without her next of kin's permission? Was she, as many have suggested, pregnant with Dodi's child? Mohammed Al Fayed, Dodi's father, has accused the royal family of not wanting a non-Christian member. Albeit Diana was no longer in the royal family, but her baby would be in the limelight as a royal member, despite not actually being one. Well, that's just a snippet of some of the questions and allegations. But knowing what big, powerful families can do, can I suggest what might have happened? Only my opinion, though. What do you think happened? Leave a comment. I'd love to know what you think. See, many witnesses reported that seconds just before the crash, they noticed a bright, blinding light coming from the tunnel, like a spotlight. Not an explosion or a flashlight, but a spotlight. It was that powerful. Could it be that Diana was assassinated? Could it be that whoever was on the speeding motorcycle, the one that could even outrun a professional driver, that entered the tunnel at the same time as Diana's car, was that of the assassins? I know, it all sounds a bit like Jason Bourne, but these films are based on something. They deliberately got in front of the car, and together with the Fiat Uno, forcing the Merc over to the left-hand lane, shone the spotlight into Henri Paul's vision for a split second, causing him to swerve abruptly, and in a blind, confused state slammed headfirst into the pillar. Far-fetched? An MI6 whistleblower has come out off public record and stated that this is a common approach to modern day assassinations. It gives many ways to end a life. First, the crash. If that doesn't work. Second, the response. If that doesn't work. Finally, the treatment. Plus, how easy is it to blame a dead driver and the hated paparazzi? Bearing in mind that the driver's blood sample was contaminated, French police admitted that, and a fellow bodyguard who spoke with him at the night says he was definitely sober, and the paparazzi's pictures were confiscated. How easy is that? But who would have her assassinated? Well, take a look at this. I'm not saying he did, and I'm not saying he didn't, but take a good look at this recent portrait and tell me that everything is fine with the monarchy. Tell me everything is fine with the family Diana was once a part of and had spoke up against.
So I saw this online, and before I posted it, I wanted to check if it was right. So I cropped in half one of the pictures of King Charles, and I mirrored it, and then I cropped it again. So I have two of the same picture. Now I am taking it in on the right hand side in order to make one of them smaller. Now, as you can see, I've opened up my Instagram stories because I find it really easy to edit things together. It's a little bit awkward. This is the picture the correct way up. Now I'm going to turn it upside down. I find Instagram really easy to mess around and spin pictures around. Now I'm going to get the other version that I took the right hand side off.
What kind of king or monarch has a portrait like that? What kind of mind would somebody have if they wanted that as their portrait? What would they be capable of? You be the judge. What do you think really happened? Do you agree with me? Or do you think it was just a bad accident that happened to a lovely person? Please let me know in the comments below. And in response to a few folk who have said that their comments are being deleted, I can promise you that I do not delete any comments at all, even those who totally disagree with me. They have the right. There must be another reason for their deletion. Sorry. And don't forget to check if you're still subscribed, and please click the like button if you've enjoyed the dot. Thanks again, and I'll see you in dot 20. Take care and drive carefully.